solidarity built up here. So this is a presentation on the really free market. Obviously a play on words from the capitalist term, the free market. It's a worldwide movement, baby. And what is the really free market? Well, it can be termed a lot of things, but essentially it's a gathering of people sharing ideas and services and items that, and art, of course, that you can give away absolutely free. And it's a psychological experience as well as a tangible gift exchange and a skill exchange to create a temporary autonomous zone, instituting the gift economy as an alternative to the capitalist way of competition and scarcity. I wrote that as scare because that's what it is. And the myths of scarcity, and that we don't have enough when really we do. And we just, need a little encouragement to share. The one rule of the really free market is that there is no money, no barter, no trade. Everything is 100% free. And it's a very wonderful experience being able to interact with individuals outside of a monetary system. These are some images from the San Francisco really free market. As you can see, it's not just like a garage sale kind of flea market thing, but actually extends far beyond that. And Singapore has been rocking really free markets for a while now. And you'll notice this guy reaching for the bag. I would actually go for the Finding Nemo plushie, but it's a lot of fun and you meet some really awesome people. So the free movement ecosystem incorporates a lot of anarchist and just other sort of philosophies in creating free things in the world, right? Outside of this competition, this rat race, this, I get mine, you can't have yours kind of thing. And so this event, of course, being one of the things on this chart here that I drew up, but we have free schools, we have urban gardening, we have homes not jails, reclaim the streets, the free software movement, SF Mime Troupe, I'm rocking their shirt right now. They're a free street theater that dates back 5 decades in San Francisco here. Worker-owned co-ops, independent media, info shops, zine movements. We have this is an example of free schools, the free school in Oakland, the Food Not Bombs, of course. This is a permaculture urban gardening movement called the Free Farm Stand. Of course, Occupy, who could forget that? One of the most exciting times in my life. And then you might be familiar with these free little libraries that are actually popping up all over the place in urban areas to share books. So the history. Well, we know that the capitalism isn't working. And we know that anarchists are not for the profits. But what are you for? This is the question that really brought the really free market to the forefront. As people were saying, what are you all about? And there's some debate, of course, on how it all originated. I would actually argue the World Trade Organization protests in 1999 in Seattle, which were very famous. There's a movie called Battle in Seattle about it, and a lot of documentaries. Very watershed moment for the movement in 1999 when we stopped the trade organizations. And the first really free market was in 2001. There were multiple protests in 2003 and 2008 were some big free trade protests. For those that don't know, the term free trade refers to the breaking down of protections for countries, for farmers, for workers, especially in this instance with North America, where workers can be hyper exploited by industrialized nations like the United States would hyper exploit Central American workers through breaking down sort of tariffs and other things that protect them from that process. So activists and also that damages the environment worse because they upend and uproot communities and economies. And so they try to put sort of a gloss, sort of a free trade, it's all good. And so the really free market. Sorry.
Well, eu tô me sentindo muito atormentada, muito confuso.
I'm hearing some audio. Should I keep going?
Jogar, de perturbar, pedir pro Stefan lavar aqui.
So the really free market is a play on words and sort of a response to that. The June 2004 was when the first one happened in San Francisco. Actually extends further back with the lineage of the Diggers from Haight-Ashbury, which were a street theater troupe that also opened free stores, made tie-dye shirts, and had free medical care. The Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic still exists from that trend, and they got their name diggers going way back to a movement from the 1600s, where agrarian farmers and folks were protesting landlords and basically reclaiming land that was up for dispute, who owned it. And so they started squatting and doing awesome stuff around that. These are some images of various protests against these so-called free trade agreements. By the way, I'd like to point out that FTO and the free trade area of the Americas were both completely shut down by activists. Woohoo, victory. And of course, we're still fighting those, and people have all sorts of creative ideas. Like here's a bunch of sea turtle protesters. So how do you start a really, really free market? It's actually easier than you might think. You pick a place, you pick a date, you pick a time, you spread the word, bring your ideas, your skills, your items, good vibes, of course. Make sure you bring a sign-up sheet and some seed packets, which is what organizers refer to as these little zines we hand out to people to start their own. And one thing I want to encourage folks is to not rely too much on social media and technology platforms, because there is such a thing called the digital divide. And having old school sign up sheet is also a great way to engage with people more, get people off the phones, and just be outdoors having a good time. I want to really emphasize, of course, the cleanup, leave something better than you found it. And you'll find that the community will be more welcoming of your event in the future. And so just to show you again that it's worldwide, here's some images from Singapore's really, really free market. They actually have a thing online they call the really, really free chat, where they do activists have like a streaming chat sort of platform. And that's from Johannesburg, from South Africa. This is from Russia, of course, in the bottom left corner, and New Zealand and Australia. This is Australia's really, really free market. And the idea of really, really free can extend to anything, right? It doesn't even have to stop at a market. And then here's some art and some flyers. This is in Portland, in Oregon. This, I believe, is Austin, Texas. And you can see that people really go all out with the creativity in the design of these flyers. They have sort of a bright and cheeriness to them, which I always really appreciate. Here's a flyer that I worked on a while back that I thought I'd show, because turns out I actually scanned it each step of the way, and you can see how it developed into a full flyer. So here's some more info and some links. These are also posted on the website. There is the Really, Really Free Market website for San Francisco. There's an archive of the seed packet and how to start your own. I've also started a chat group on Discord that people can join, and I can help you start your own or answer questions after this event. Also wanted to point people to Rise Up, which is a anarchist run host that will have that has email services, chat, image, all the stuff that the Google stuff has, but hosted on our own servers without surveillance and all that stuff. A little bit of history on the diggers, which is really fascinating. And San Francisco Food Not Bombs, and last but not least, the Wayback Machine, which is a free service that will back up websites, and you can also find websites that were taken off the internet. It's really good archival kind of stuff, which is a lot of my focus. One of the quotes that one of the organizers used to say, I don't know the origin of this, but really, really free market, because there is such a thing as a free lunch. We have a happy little sandwich. And last but not least, I'd like to show just a short little clip of the Really, Really Free Market in Athens, Georgia.
On every second Saturday of the month, at the corner of Reese and Pope Streets in Athens, Georgia, you can find the Athens Really, Really Free Market. The community market is run on the principles of a gift economy. Bring whatever you no longer want and take whatever you need. No money involved.
We help make sure it happens, and we get here and we help set it up, and then it becomes whatever it becomes based on who shows up that day.
Really, Really Free Market teams up with the Athens chapter of Food Not Bombs every month to provide a free meal to market participants.
We got together, it's probably been about a year and a half ago, and they've been consistent and amazing in bringing us a wonderful free lunch every single month.
The idea of mutual aid, which is just the idea that, basically people should just sort of help each other just because they should. And we just decided one of our monthly servings would be here, and it's been great. It is like an anti-profit, inherently anti-capitalist event. So it made perfect sense for us to come here. We can give away all this bread that we get. We get a lot of bread. And yeah, they have food that we can use. And there's usually, like, if you come back certain months, like, these tables just be overflowing with stuff. It's really cool.
Bray feels that the really, really free market brings about a sense of community in the neighborhood.
People show up that I wouldn't run into in my regular life, but I see them here. Some people bring stuff every time. Some people never bring anything. You know, so we all have different amounts of excess in our lives, and so yeah, but it's great. And I've heard people, people ask when somebody's not here, and so it feels like a little bit of a family.
This is the community aspect emphasized by the gift economy principles at the Athens Really, Really Free.